With the first pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Kyler Murray, quarterback, Oklahoma.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me be the first to say it. Arizona has found their Murray. Kyler Murray now makes history. The Oklahoma Sooners become the first team ever to have back-to-back #1 picks at the same position, quarterback. Kyler Murray have followed up Baker Mayfield as a Heisman Trophy winner, and now he follows him up as the first pick in the draft. Only once before in draft history have we had one school have the top pick in back-to-back years. That was in the 60s when offensive lineman Ron Yary was followed by O.J. Simpson. And now we have back-to-back quarterbacks out of Oklahoma. And in making this pick, Arizona now becomes only the second team in the common draft era to take a back-to-back quarterback with their #1 pick. The last time they did it, the Baltimore Colts, Mel.
There you go.
82 Art Schlichter, 83 John Elway, and of course Elway never played a single snap for the Baltimore Colts. Mel, what made him the #1 pick?
That John Elway played, he may have never moved out of Baltimore, but I think you look at the situation like Kyler Murray. Now we said, okay, his first call should be to Russell Wilson. Now he's in the same division with Russell Wilson and Jared Goff, and now a healthy Jimmy Garoppolo. Boys, that could be fun watching those teams compete. You say he didn't deal with adversity? He did. Against Alabama, they were down big. He brought them back. Not even having Hollywood Brown available as outstanding wide receiver. You watch him here. This is a highlight reel of spectacular play. The ability to improvise, the accuracy down the field, the accuracy short, intermediate, the way he will stand in that pocket at 5, 10, and an 8 and still make that accurate throw. I said a couple months ago, if he was 6 feet tall, there wouldn't even have been any debate about who would be the #1 pick in this draft. The fact that once he was 5, 10 and change, he got close enough to Russell Wilson to say, if I'm Arizona, let's just get him. And then the Kingsbury factor was the reason why it was a guarantee. Kyler Murray now all of a sudden will have to prove that as the #1 pick with all that pressure and all those expectations, he can do what Russell Wilson has done in the NFL, which to me, and I said it when Russell was drafted, guys, he was the test case for quarterbacks under 6 feet. He opened the door for Kyler Murray.
You know, and I feel really, really good for Cliff Kingsbury because when you bring the air raid offense to the National Football League, you want to have your guy. Now he has his guy. Now he's got to go out and prove that this offense.
With the second pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Nick Bosa, defensive end, Ohio State.
Well, there it is, and there you see his older brother behind him there. You have to wonder if in some way, shape, or form the 49ers didn't want to resist making this pick because it's the 4th time in 5 years they've basically taken a defensive end with their first overall. But this is the Bosa family. There is John with the 2 boys who, of course, now join him as #1 picks in the NFL. This is the boys playing a game in the backyard that they made up. It's called Kill the Man with the Ball. How did they ever become defensive players? We never knew. And there, of course, you see, that's the father in the middle. By the way, Mel, he still has the boy band hair. I'm just pointing that out. And there is Nick showing the inside lining of his jacket. And this is also significant because with the Nick Bosa selection, they become, on the defensive side of football, when it comes to the draft, what the Manning family is on the first side, because Archie, Peyton, and Eli became the first family ever that had a father and 2 sons all taken in the first round of the draft. And now, ladies and gentlemen, meet the defensive Mannings, the Bosas, John in '87, Joey in 2016, and Nick in 2019. And if you're thinking, wait a minute, what about Howie Long and his 2 sons? Yeah, Chris and Kyle were first rounders. Howie was actually a second rounder out of Villanova back in 1985. But there he is. The Bosa family triumvirate is complete. And once again, for the 4th time in 5 years, the Niners go defensive end, defensive line, edge rusher in the draft. What do we think, Lewis?
Well, look, there's two ways to really improve your pass defense efficiency. Look, the 49ers only had 2 interceptions in 2018. You can't win that way. And they allowed 35 pass TDs. There's no corners, there's no coverage players that you would wind up that you could justify taking at the number 2 overall pick in the draft. So how do you affect the pass defense? You get guys who can rush the passer. Nick Bosa is good at that.
He certainly is, even though he had that injury that missed most of the season this year for Ohio State. So DXL takes us down to Susie, who's standing by with the latest member of the Bosa family we drafted in the first round.
Well, Nick, one of the ultimate football families, what does this moment represent for you?
It's a new journey. I'm so excited to finally be back on a team. Can't wait to get to work, but this is all the work I've put in since I was 7 years old, and it's finally here.
Well, it seems like forever since you've been on the field. I mean, what do you want to do when you first join your teammates?
I want to get with my team. I want to kick some butt on the field. I'm so excited to go to work.
You know, we always hear about your brother, your dad, but how would you describe what your mom has meant to your journey?
I mean, words can't even explain my mom. She's been the one driving us to practice since I was 7 years old, putting my pads in my pants for me. I mean, I love her more than anything.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Susie, Nick, thanks very much. Bosa only played in 3 games this year, but he had 4 sacks, a forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, a defensive touchdown, a pass breakup. That's a lot for 3 games, Boog. This guy can play.
Well, he can absolutely play. And what you're getting with Nick Bosa, he's a professional rusher. What does that mean? He understands angles. He understands leverage. He can bend and flip his hips. We all saw Joey Bosa. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Bosa has a little bit more juice and has a little bit more giddy up in his step than his brother Joey. You're going to see a guy that can come off the corner, use his hands exceptionally well, get to the quarterback, and he can finish. And even in sub package, you can reduce down, and he also plays with power and the ability to shed and make tackles. You put him at defensive end, and barring an injury, he'll get you 7 to 12 sacks for the next 7 to 10 years. That's the type of player you're getting. You don't have to teach him how to rush. He already knows how to rush. With speed, with power, Mel, he can do it with the best of them.
Yeah, and I think the key for the 49ers is pass rush. They haven't had it. DeForest Buckner stepped up with 12 sacks this year. They traded him for Dee Ford. Now all of a sudden you add Nick Bosa. You went from a team couldn't get after the quarterback a few years ago to now a team that's 3 pass rushers. Fred Warner, you add Quan Alexander. Now your front 7 is well fortified with Nick Bosa and a developing DeForest Buckner and Dee Ford. Now all of a sudden Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray and Jared Goff. Now you got the pass rusher to get after those guys.
Really, a really interesting division going forward.
With the 3rd pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Quinnen Williams, nose tackle, Alabama.
Big Baby is off the board. His offensive line teammate at Alabama called him a 300-pound bar of soap because he's just so slippery. But this is an unbelievable rise for a guy who basically had 1 year to play for Nick Saban at Alabama. He originally committed to Auburn. In fact, many of his passwords are still Auburn related because he just doesn't want to go through the hassle of getting rid of them. And of course, his mother passed away from breast cancer in 2010, and he plays for her and thinks of her every single day. And I have to believe that Quinnen Williams is thinking about her right now as he makes the walk of his life. When he was recruited and signed by Alabama, Nick Saban wasn't that sold on Quinnen Williams. He said, wait a minute, we only got Raekwon Davis and Quinnen Williams. They both turned out to be pretty good players. Quinnen turned out to be so dadgum good. He was the 3rd overall pick after only just 1 year. But Booker, that 1 year for Quinnen Williams at Alabama was stellar.
Well, it was dominant because he came on the field and he showed you he could play in a number of positions. Scheme versatility is what he brings. He can play in a 4-3 and play over the guard, or you can put him in nose tackle, or you can put him at the 4-eye in a 3-4 defense. But what you're getting is a long, lean, versatile player. Look at him right here, over the guard, disengaged, pure power. Think of Ndamukong Suh when we think of Quinnen Williams. Big, powerful player that has quickness and strength, and he can play with both of them. I love the pick. I just wonder, though, if you're the Jets, you have Leonard Williams inside. You need a little edge pressure, but you add what I think is the best player in the draft in Quentin Williams.
Yeah, I'm sure Josh Allen, Kentucky was tempting. They obviously had a strong interest. They'd love to add Anthony Barr.
Yeah.
But now you go with the best player on your board, and that was Quentin Williams. You can make an argument he was the best player and the cleanest player in this draft. You don't have any injury concern. Yes, 1 year domination, but that's all you could do.
Yeah.
He was a third-year sophomore. This is a kid that when the production and the measurables all come together, and I say measurables, he ran 4.83 at 303 pounds at the combine. He was incredibly productive. Great kid. I talked to him a couple weeks ago up in Bristol. He said, I want to be complete.
With the 4th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Clelin Ferrell, defensive end, Clemson.
Okay, this is interesting on a couple of levels. By the way, Clelin Ferrell is a very good player.
Yes.
He's one of 5 Clemson defensive linemen that are going to be drafted. 3 of them, in all likelihood, are going into the first round. But that Raider fan is like, wait a minute, I thought we were going to get Josh Allen. So Clelin Ferrell is a guy from Richmond, Virginia, who knows about dedication to task. His father, Cleavester, served in Vietnam. His mother served in Desert Storm. They come from a military background. He graduated in 3.5 years in December. His father, as we said, passed away in 2012. Look, he has first-round talent, but we just all thought the first edge rusher might be Josh Allen instead of Clelin Ferrell.
Well, I think I understand the pick. When you look at a pure 4-3 defensive end in Paul Gunther's defense, he fits that mold as a guy that can stop the run and put his hand down. I think Josh Allen, as we discussed, is more of that stand-up outside linebacker. So they went with the more traditional guy that can play the 6 technique and also play the 5 technique. That's what John and Mike Mayock went for.
Yeah, look, I understand, what you're talking about philosophically, Book. And look, and he's one of those guys who you're right. When you put him in a 6, when you put him in a 6-eye, he'll stand in there and battle. I just don't know if he gives you the juice that you necessarily need to take care of the passers in this division. And I'll tell you that I just don't know if you needed to pay this price for this guy. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to make the value argument, which is one of the things we wanted to see what Oakland would do in terms of value. Would they pay the right prices? But if he turns out to be an all-pro, nobody will care. But he has to turn out to be one of those guys who can affect the passers in this division.
Yeah, I ask people when I talk to my guys in the NFL, where do you think players will go? With Ferrell, it was anywhere between 15, 25, 15, even to 32. So this was, in the old days, what we call this? A reach.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, Ferrell now becomes the highest drafted player in the history of the common draft out of Clemson. Sammy Watkins in 2014 and Gaines Adams in 2007. Both went higher. That distinction belongs to Clelin Ferrell. And the saddest person right now is Christian Wilkins, the other Clemson defensive lineman, who said, please don't let Clelin get drafted ahead of me. Sorry, big fella, that's the way the board went down. We are just getting started. The draft is an experience you gotta see to believe.
This is the 2019 NFL Draft.
For Tampa Bay's pick, I'm joined by Casey Reynolds, a Make-A-Wish kid and a huge Buccaneers fan. Casey's been fighting cancer, and tonight his wish is to be granted to announce the opportunity to be granted to announce the Buccaneers' first-round pick. We hope this wish gives Casey the physical and emotional strength to face any challenges that come his way. Okay, Casey, now's the time.
With the 5th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Devin White, linebacker, LSU.
Happiness all the way around in the green room for Devin White, the first of the 2 Devins inside linebackers that may come off the board, and it is. Devin White was recruited at LSU to play a running back, but they said, no, you're going to play linebacker. Turned out to be great. He's a horseman. His horses' names are Daisy May. He also has one named Ricky Bobby. And if you ain't first, you're last. And he's the first inside linebacker off the board, so he's channeling his Ricky Bobby right now. But again, he was recruited as a running back. They said we're going to make you a linebacker, and that turned out to be a really good idea because he became the first LSU linebacker to win the Butkus Award as the best in the business. He led the SEC with 123 tackles, Bode. This guy made plays all season long.
He's the best inside linebacker in the draft. Tampa Bay needs a linebacker with Quan Alexander going to San Francisco. And Trey, simply put, he can play sideline to sideline at 240 pounds with 4.4 speed. He's instinctual. He can be a leader. He's going to come into Todd Bowles' defense, that 3-4 scheme, and he'll be able to line up behind the defensive tackle, Vita Vea, who's going to protect him, and he won't get touched, and he'll be a linebacker like they've never had in Tampa, a guy that can run and hit at 240 pounds. Mel, when opportunity and need present themselves, and Devin White was staring right there, this is the perfect pick for Tampa.
Look, Bruce Arians has to fix Jameis Winston, and he has to become the guy that's the undisputed leader of that football team. And I think on the defensive side, Devin White will be the cornerstone of that Buccaneer defense. He brings that Ray Lewis inspirational ability, high character kid, 4.42 speed. He's like Deion Jones, former LSU Tiger. What he's become with the Atlanta Falcons, only probably a little bit better. This is a guy, a foundation piece, a guy that could be a guy who transforms that defense. And if Jameis develops, then it all comes together. If Jameis doesn't, then we're going to have struggles in Tampa.
With the 6th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Daniel Jones, quarterback, Duke.
Mel Kiper Jr., you called it, you talked about it for the last couple of months, how much they love Daniel Jones out of Duke. And oh, by the way, just so you know, ESPN rated Daniel Jones as a 0-star recruit coming out of high school. Daniel, on behalf of us, our bad, we apologize. Daniel Jones is now the second quarterback off the board. He comes from an athletic family. His sister Becca plays field hockey at Davidson, a smaller school in Carolina. Bates, his brother, also plays basketball at Davidson. His sister Ruthie also went to Duke, where she plays soccer. And now Daniel Jones with the connection through David Cutcliffe and his connection to the Manning family. This is Daniel Jones at the Manning Passing Academy. Remember, Peyton Manning, David Cutcliffe was his offensive coordinator at Tennessee. Eli Manning. David Cutcliffe was his head coach at Ole Miss. And one more time, this all seems to come to fruition as Daniel Jones now joins Eli Manning through the David Cutcliffe tree one way or another.
Well, that's the thing, Trey. I thought, and I projected in the mock this morning, Daniel Jones to the Giants at 17. You say, okay, why did Dave Gettleman take him at 6? Because they felt like, right, hey, we can't lose the guy we feel is a franchise quarterback. Lose him to the Redskins at 15, or the Bengals, or somebody trading up ahead of them at 17. So went and got him at 6. Some will call it a reach. Bottom line is Daniel Jones has a chance to be a very successful starting quarterback. The Cutcliffe factor certainly is a reason why what he's done in developing quarterbacks. 6 went on in the NFL, led by Peyton and Eli. Daniel Jones' accuracy has been questioned. I watched him, and I saw the accuracy when he was pressured be pretty good, and he was pressured a lot. That offensive line couldn't protect him against top teams like Clemson. I think when you look at his mobility, he ran for 186 yards against North Carolina. He was a good basketball player in high school. I think you look at Daniel Jones in this system, in this offense for Dave Gettleman, they didn't want to wait, and you can say all you want. They felt like we identified our guy in Daniel Jones. Chris Mara left the owners' meeting to go to the pro day of Daniel Jones. That showed they had a strong interest. Obviously, Eli, Peyton, Cutcliffe, and Daniel Jones all came together. But, again, you pass on Dwayne Haskins, you pass on Drew Lock. They felt like they...
With the 7th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Josh Allen, defensive end, Kentucky.
Well, we had a mea culpa for Josh Allen for Daniel Jones when he was drafted. Then Josh Allen was ranked as the 2,121st best prospect in his high school recruiting class. Let's just say he did a little better than that. He's now the 7th overall pick. Now this is interesting. His uncle, Gregory Hines, was known as Duncan Hines when he played at Hampton University. His sister, LaTorre, was a forward at Towson. His other sister, Kyra, played at Cheney. She was a forward. And Maisha plays for the Washington Mystics from 2018 to now. And Josh went to a basketball school in Kentucky and set some records, including 17 sacks this season, Mel.
This is the domino effect in the Raiders' move, taking Clelin Ferrell at 4, pushing Josh Allen down. You would have thought tight end T.J. Hockenson, Iowa, maybe Juwan Taylor, offensive tackle, Florida. That would have been assuming Josh Allen was gone. But with Josh Allen there, Tom Coughlin stayed true to their board, just looked the best player, didn't force the need. Josh Allen went from 7 sacks the last 2 years to 17 sacks this past season. Almost 6'5", 260 pounds, closes off the edge. When you look at what he was able to do with inside pressure, outside pressure this year, guys, he took his game from the good, the very good level to the elite level.
He definitely can be elite, and I look forward to him getting better coaching. Right now, he's winning off pure athletic ability, and then when he gets better coaching, the ability not to take that extra step at the top of his pass rush, Jacksonville looking to put pressure on the quarterback.
Look, when you combine Josh Allen with Yannick Ngakoue, Calais Campbell, look, Calais is 32 years old. They're looking down the road. Look, Taven Bryan has to come on. For Tom Coughlin, he's sitting there going, really? Josh Allen sitting right here? When I know that we are a defensive-centric, run-centric, class-and-pass type of team, and we need to produce turnovers again, perfect for us.
By the way, in the common draft era, Kentucky has watched just 7 players come off the board in the first round. 4 of those were top 10 picks. The 5th is now Josh Allen, ready to roll. And boy, he's got to love the guys he's going to line up with on that defensive line in Jacksonville. All smiles for Josh Allen. We are up to the 8th pick in the first round, basically a quarter of a way through the first round. It is the Detroit Lions on the clock. The pick is in. Let's go to the commission.
With the 8th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select T.J. Hockenson, tight end, Iowa.
Well, this is indeed significant because T.J. Hockenson now joins a very select group. He is just the 4th tight end chosen in the top 10 of the draft since 1997. And amazingly, another one was a Lions pick, Eric Ebron in 2014. His hometown of Cherokee, Iowa. They moved there from Cherokee. He finished 3rd in a national softball throw. He's also a 2-time All-State basketball forward in high school. But T.J. Hockenson became the dude and one of 2 tight ends at Iowa that we might see go in the first round. And if you're saying to yourself, it sure seems like we hear a lot of these Iowa tight ends being drafted. You are correct. Since 2000, T.J. now becomes the 10th tight end taken in the draft from the University of Iowa. They know how to deal with tight ends and create tight ends in Kirk Ferentz system at Iowa. They have done a great job. So tight ends being drafted is a tradition in Iowa. So is another tradition. The Iowa Children's Hospital. They wave to the fans and the players wave to them. It's one of the great scenes at Kinnick Stadium in all of college football. There you see the kids at the Iowa Children's Hospital. And the Iowa Children's Hospital now would like to return the favor. They have a little message for the latest Hawkeye to go off the board.
From all of us here at the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital, we want to say congrats to you, T.J. Hockenson, on being selected for the NFL Draft. We're so proud of you.
So they're celebrating at the hospital, and you better believe they're having a good time at Iowa City at Donnelly's Pub. Mel, this is a guy that is a basketball player who became a great football
He
player.
has a basketball background, nearly 6'5", 250. Talk about an athlete. You think about the Kirk Ferentz, Bill Belichick connection. You see him here on the hardwood getting it done. For a tight end, we see it. Jimmy Graham and others translates very well. You see the blocking there, and as well, getting down the field with that release, sealing the edge. He's a throwback to the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. He can block, get down the field, make the catch. But Bob Quinn, the GM, with Gronkowski, thinking about adding Jesse James. They brought him in via free agency. Now you bring in T.J. Hockenson, who is a multi-dimensional threat for Matthew Stafford now. You have Kenny Golladay. You have Marvin Jones. You had Tommy Lee Lewis. You got Kerryon Johnson at running back. You had Danny Amendola in the slot. And now you get a guy who will block and help out Kerryon Johnson and be a guy that Matthew Stafford, those clutch third down situations, red zone situations, can go to Hockenson, and he will come down with the football. He really took over from Noah Fant. Noah Fant was supposed to be the guy. Nathan Stanley went to Hockenson.
Did run that 4.4 140 at the combine. The pick is in for the Buffalo Bills. Let's see where they're going.
With the 9th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Ed Oliver, defensive tackle, Houston.
Ed Oliver, a man who is very confident in his abilities and the second horseman to go in the top 10 of this draft. Much like Devin White of LSU, Ed has always been around horses. There's Caldonia. He also had a horse named Oreo. He said that horse tried to kill me 3 or 4 times. Now, Ed has always been perceived as a little bit undersized to go inside where they played him at Houston. Played at about 275, 278. Is he concerned about that? Ed said, once you deal with a 1,000-pound animal, dealing with a 300-pound human ain't no thing at all. This is one of your favorite players in the draft, Lewis, as we see Ed Oliver going to the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, look, Sean McDermott's the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, must be sitting up there going, man, this just fell right to me. One, because I need somebody to replace Kyle Williams, who's one of the best pass rushing defensive tackles in the NFL. And two, my pass rushers who I have left on this football team are getting older. Jerry Hughes is going to be 31. Lorenzo Alexander is going to be 36. So when you look at Ed Oliver, who is the guy who you start to think he reminds you of a little bit? Man, Aaron Donald, if you're watching the draft, you know I love you and you're my guy. But let's just draw some comparisons here. Look, I said he was misused at Houston, but look at what he could do as a 3 technique. Here, if they're trying to reach him front side, he beats the block, gets a tackle for a loss. Look, those are the kind of things that the 3 technique. Now, when you watch Aaron Donald here, they're going to try and reach him. He just goes, no, you know what, I'll just come backdoor, and I'll still get you for a tackle for a loss. Book, you know something about backdoor and people. Here's the 3 technique. You know what this is all about. Ed Oliver can do this if you put him in those situations. Hand use. Quick hand use, get into the offensive lineman, quick swim him, get into the backfield, create disruption. Look, Aaron Donald is the master. I'm not saying Ed Oliver is at that level, but I'm saying if you can get into this level, these are the kind of things that you want. And then we're talking about power. Just bull rushing somebody right back into the quarterback's lap and just affecting the throw. Now, Aaron Donald had one of the best pass rushes you will see ever, where he said, you know what, maybe I can't get to the quarterback. I'll just take you, Weston Richburg, and throw you into the quarterback and take both of you down. So I'm saying this, he has potential. He has a lot of work to do. He was misused at Houston, but they needed this profile, and it's perfect for them.
You know what I'll tell you, if you're watching Ed Oliver and the Houston tape, throw it away. I don't even count any of that tape. When you put him in the National Football League, here's what I know. You need twitchy.
All right, here we go. With the pick is in, let's find out where Pittsburgh is going with yet another first-round pick, looking like it's going to be a defensive player.
The Denver Broncos have traded the 10th pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers. For Pittsburgh's pick, please welcome back to the stage 1979 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, Hall of Famer and Steeler legend, Joe Green.
With the 10th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Devin Bush, linebacker, Michigan.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm not sure, and that is one heck of an outfit. I'm not sure. No, that is one heck of an outfit.
I love that outfit, Devin.
Booger, that's got to be close to what you wore in your short sleeve suit. My goodness.
Why do we bring that up?
Because it was awesome. I just have to say this might be the first time we've had two Devons taken in the first 10 picks. Both inside linebackers, by the way. Devin White goes first to Tampa, and now Devin Bush, the linebacker, goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the trade. And, of course, there is a family history here. His father, Devin, was, I believe, a 20th, 25th, 26th round pick out of Florida State that went to the Atlanta Falcons. So Devin Bush now has bragging rights in the Devin Bush household of the Devin Bushes. And their relationship was not always great. At one point, Devin Bush was trying to toughen up his son. Devin Bush Jr. was 8 years old and he fumbled in the red zone. And his dad said, "You suck because of that." And Devin Bush Jr. says, "No, I don't." And he said, "Yes, people that fumble suck." The relationship has gotten better, but right now they are both first-round draft picks in the NFL.
Look, I played with Devin Bush Sr. I played with him in Atlanta in
You know the
1990s.
attitude.
Absolutely. That guy is the thumper. Devin Bush Jr. is all of that. This kid is fast. He is a great blitzer. He has tremendous instincts. He will come downhill, and he will absolutely just test your will as an offensive lineman. He can tackle. I love this pick. I absolutely love it. I think he is pound for pound the best player in this draft. And I know people are going to say, "You're crazy." Pound for pound, Devin Bush is the best player in this draft. He brings it. Pittsburgh Steelers, my hat's off to you. You traded up to get it.
Let's go to Roger Goodell and find out what's going to happen.
With the 11th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Jonah Williams, tackle, Alabama.
This won't be a pick that's going to elicit a lot of cheers from the stands and the crowds out here, but trust me, Jonah Williams is a football freak. This guy is unbelievable. 44 games in 3 seasons he started for Alabama. His attitude is incredible. This is a guy who made flow charts from every one of the guys that he was going to go up against every year. He takes this game seriously. They call him a football freak. They call him a football nerd, and all that has paid off now. By the way, he also enjoys doing a little cooking.
Trey, you look at Jonah Williams and you think about a kid who has tremendous versatility. You talk about a left tackle. People say, well, he's got short arms. He's going to have to move to right tackle, guard, or center. His arm length, longer arms than Andre Dillard, Washington State, where everybody looks at it as a pretty good left tackle prospect in this draft. I thought against Farrell in that playoff game, he held his own. He got overpowered once when he was off balance. Other than that, he did a really good job. You move him over to the right side or inside the guard, he can be Pro Bowl. I think he's got a shot to be a left tackle as well. Jonah Williams comes to play every week. He's durable, and he understands how to keep that frame between the defensive end and his quarterback, Booger. I think from a standpoint of a guy who's plug and play, he's as good as anybody in this draft.
I'm glad Cincinnati made this pick. You know, leading up to the draft, we kept hearing about measuring. His arm length, height, weight, I don't care. Put the tape on. Jonah Williams has blocked at the University of Alabama in the SEC for the last several years. He understands how to block. I don't care about his arm length. The guy knows how to pass block.
By the way, he wears 73 because he loves Joe Thomas. They met each other.
With the 12th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Rashawn Gary, linebacker, Michigan.
So Rashawn Gary goes off the board, 12th overall, second Michigan defensive player we've seen in the last 3 picks. What's interesting here is that Rashawn Gary, when he went to Michigan, was the #1 recruit in the country. And he blew people away again at the Combine with the numbers he put up in terms of weightlifting and the 40 time and all that kind of stuff. But the knock on him at Michigan was the athletic ability and the stats never really matched up.
And here's the issue. The guy on the other side, Chase Winovich, made more plays and played better. When you're a guy who was the #1 recruit and you have the type of athletic ability that Rashawn Gary has, you expect more. I mean, Trey, he's a physical specimen.
Correct.
You want him coming off the plane first. He's the all-airplane team. But the production and the athletic ability doesn't match. I feel like when he gets to the next level, He's a guy that's going to need a lot of coaching, not only with technique, but how you play. How can you use that athletic ability and turn it into playmaking? It's one thing to be a great athlete, but can you be a playmaker? Because this is a guy that lacks production, Lewis.
Yeah, look, a lot of times when you turn on their film, and especially as you start watching it as the season goes on third downs, when it was obviously 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 plus, he wasn't even on the football field, and you start to ask yourself, what is going on here? Because when you watch Chase Winovich rush the passer, when you talk about getting coaching, I mean, Chase has some of the most advanced hand usage as far as rushing the passer as anybody in this draft. I'd stack him right up there against Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
So you're going, what was it connecting with Rashawn, Mo?
Well, I think when you look at those computer numbers that you talked to about Boog and Lewis, 6'4.5", 277 pounds, with long arms, ran 4.58 the combine, 26 reps, incredible upper body strength, and a 38 vertical. Those are number 1 pick overall numbers.
Yes.
He was number 1 coming out of high school. He didn't translate that into production, sack production. He had 10 sacks in 34 football games. That's not...
Head coach Brian Flores, who came over from the Super Bowl champion Patriots, and the pick is in. Let's go to Roger Goodell.
With the 13th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle, Clemson.
So that is the second of the potential 3 defensive linemen from Clemson that will go off the board, and there is a look of exasperation and relief from Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins, of course, wears number 42 for his grandfather, Yuri A. Stamps, who was shot when police raided his house and a rifle discharged accidentally. They were not there for Yuri. They believed a stepson was dealing drugs. The gun went off accidentally, and Christian Wilkins, during his time at Clemson, by the way, he stayed for 4 years, wore number 42 to honor his late grandfather. And Christian Wilkins was the one that really put that band of merry men together as he gives the jump and the chest bump to Roger Goodell. Roger, no offense, you're feeling that tomorrow, because that is a big dude right there. He was the one that put the entire group together, called them the Power Rangers. Booger, all those 5 defensive linemen, Wilkins might be the best of the bunch.
I don't think there's any might to it. I think he is the best defensive lineman that was on that Clemson team. A big athlete. And you talk about athleticism, you can measure with height, weight, speed. You can do a lot of different. But this young man can do something, Trey, that I don't think you can do. Look at that. Do it, big fella. Do it.
That was after the first national championship game as a freshman. But what he can do when he's not splitting is splitting double teams.
He has lateral movement. He has power. He has speed. He can make plays from tackle to tackle the way no one in this draft at this size can at over 300 pounds. He has scheme versatility. He can play in a 3-4 or a 4-3, whether that's nose guard, defensive tackle, or 4-eye. I love this pick for Miami. Head coach Brian Flores is shoring up front. Very similar to the way they did in New England. They're doing the same thing now in Miami.
Washington Redskins are 1 pick away from maybe getting Dwayne Haskins without having to move.
Incredible.
Teams like Cincinnati, Miami, you would have thought would have been spots maybe for Haskins, particularly Miami. It tells you the league, for whatever reason, Lou, did not have the high opinion of Haskins that we did. Now, that could be proven wrong by the Washington Redskins, but there were opportunities here to take Dwayne Haskins, and teams have consistently passed on him all the way up until this point.
Absolutely.
But you know what? I'll tell you this. We'll just keep it about Christian Wilkins for this in this instance, and I agree with you, Mel. I agree with you here, and I think teams are going to regret the fact that they keep passing on Dwayne Haskins. But look, Christian Wilkins, I think is fantastic. He's one of those people who I thought was under-talked about in the pre-draft build-up. When Booger talks about scheme versatility, look, who's going to have more scheme versatility than Brian Flores, and who's going to require your...
Go right now.
With the 14th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Chris Lindstrom, guard, Boston College.
One of many Boston College players that will be drafted this year. Chris Lindstrom is a guy who was very durable, played for his father when he was in high school, Oh, by the way, his brother Alec also plays center at Boston College, and he continues that long line of Boston College offensive linemen. There's his dad, Chris, an NFL defensive end from 1983 to 1987, with, among other teams, the Kansas City Chiefs. His uncle was also a D-end at Boston College. And then, of course, his brother that he lined up against from the area wants to continue that legacy. He says Boston College is OLU, and he wanted to bring that back, and he was a very reliable starter, Mel, all the way along from Boston
You think
College.
about a kid ran 4.91. I think with the athletic ability he showed, when you look at the tape and you see a 4-year starter at Boston College, guys, could have played a little tackle, but here's a guy I think when you look at as a pure guard coming in at 6'3", nearly 330 pounds. He's a finisher. This kid plays with a mean streak, plays with a defensive mentality. You saw it there. You saw it down in Mobile, the Senior Bowl practices. He's the kind of guy like Jonah Williams who you put into that starting lineup and you forget about for 10 or 12 years, folks.
I think really simple, we can say this. He's the best guard in the draft. That's what the Falcons just got right now. They got the best guard in the draft. And the way Dan Quinn wants to play, be physical, be able to run the football and be solidified in the middle, they got the best guard, I think, in the draft.
Look, I remember going down to Atlanta and watching them against the New York Giants in Monday Night Football and seeing Matt Ryan just under siege.
Yeah.
Okay, sacked 42 times last year, 24 in 2017. There's a problem there along the offensive line. They draft Chris Lindstrom to help shore that up.
By the way, Christian Lindstrom, as you see the reaction there, and listen to it. First BC player to go in the top 15 since Luke Kuechly went 9th overall in 2012. That worked out well for the Panthers. See if this one works out well for the Falcons. Stay with us. There's a lot of things that would make sense if that would be the case. Let's find out right now if it works out that way.
With the 15th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, quarterback, Ohio State.
Well, Washington fans seem happy, and here's why. He was born in Highland Park, New Jersey, but moved to Potomac, Maryland before high school. He attended an Ohio State football camp at the age of 11 and said he wanted to come back and play quarterback, which he did. He's scheduled to graduate this May in broadcasting, wants to be a journalist. And there is the reaction from the Bowlmore Bowling Alley in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Dwayne Haskins realizing he is going to be a Washington Redskin. And why is this significant? Well, Dan Snyder's son goes to the same school where Dwayne Haskins played, the Bullis School in Potomac, Maryland. And oh, by the way, it is just a hop, skip, and a jump from FedEx Field, some 27 miles away, as Dwayne Haskins put on a show in high school. And if you don't believe me, if you're a visual learner, look at it this way. It's not Calvert Hall, Mel, I'm sorry, but it's close enough. There it is, from Potomac, Maryland, and the Bullis School to the Redskins practice facility in Ashburn. It is 28 miles away. Lewis, this is your guy. 50 touchdowns against only 8 picks last year.
Yeah, look, and this is a guy who tore it up against ranked opponents as well. He can do it all. Look, he has movement in the pocket. He has accuracy, short, intermediate, and deep. He knows when to put gas on it. He knows when to take some of it off and throw the football with touch. And look, you can't penalize him for going against, or rather having weapons at his disposal like he had this past year. You can't penalize him for having an offensive coordinator like Ryan Day, who's now the head coach. You can't penalize him for those kinds of things because he took advantage of everything that was given to him, everything that he earned. He's just a guy who I think right now is going into a situation as far as the quarterback room is concerned that is perfect for him. He has Case Keenum there. Alex Smith will be around. He has two people who he can learn from, who they can be patient with him. They need to get him some weapons, make sure the running game is straight. This offensive line of Washington, when it is healthy, is one of the best in the NFL. Look, as far as Washington is concerned, Dan Snyder, the owner, Jay Gruden, the head coach, I think they made a slam dunk pick.
Well, you can see the movement there, right?
Oh, he's not. Look, the immobility argument here is just ridiculous.
Correct.
It's not true.
You know, usually when you have the #1 pick, you get the best quarterback in the draft if you need one. Washington is down here at 15. There have been 2 quarterbacks selected before Dwayne Haskins, and they got the best quarterback in this draft right now. You have to feel really good for Doug Williams, Bruce Allen, and Jay Gruden in Washington.
NFC East is going to be fun.
Yeah.
You got the Giants who took Daniel Jones, and now the Redskins with Dwayne Haskins. You got Dak Prescott, you got Carson Wentz. And you can bet this kid's got quiet confidence. I sat with him at the Combine.
Absolutely,
we did.
absolutely,
He
we all
come
did.
in with a chip. Is he saying, okay, you passed, now I'm in the same division?
Are you kidding me?
With the 16th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Brian Burns, defensive end, Florida State.
Well, if you want a guy that has bend off the edge, Brian Burns is your guy. Since the end of the season, he knew a lot of people thought he might have been a little too light in the seat, for lack of a better term. Went on a 5,000 calorie a day diet, gained almost 20 pounds, and when he went to the Combine, by the way, did not lose a single tenth of speed in his 40 time. He bulked up and was still just as fast. Weight gain not a surprise because he was only about 210 pounds coming out of high school. He's a Marvel Comics freak. By the way, Endgame out tonight, but the draft is better. Does the Spider-Man thing. Speaking of Marvel, let's take a look at some of the things that Brian Burns, there you go. Brian Burns leading the charge. 10 sacks, 15 and a half tackles for losses, Mel, this year at Boston College.
23 career sacks straight. You talk about Ben, you talk about
the
lane,
socks.
closing speed. Obviously, he's got some style, bro.
Boy, without a doubt. I love the fact that we're just going to skip over the main part. He went on a 5,000 calorie diet. How many of us would love to do that? Are you kidding me?
5,000 calories.
Without a doubt. But when you look at this guy, you hear the word twitchy, bend, speed, athlete. Is there a concern about the weight? Can he keep it on? I'm sure there is, but that'll come with maturity. Carolina needed an edge rusher. They needed somebody that can turn the corner to go along with K'Wan Short. When you have the front four that can get after the quarterback, especially in the NFC South, now you can go against guys like Jameis Winston and Matt Ryan. I love this pick for Carolina. Burns is a traditional pass rusher, especially if he can keep the weight up.
Yeah, speaking about front four, look, the Carolina Panthers had the 4th highest blitz percentage in the NFL last year. How come? Because with 4, they couldn't rush the passer. And look, hey, I credit that to our stats and research department. That's the best. These are the best in the world. They gave me that stat. I'm just reading it to you. This makes sense for them, okay? They need juice off the edge. They got it with Brian Burns.
Listen, absolutely. And he's been productive every year at Boston College, and now they hope him to be productive in Carolina. Hey guys, it's round 2 for the New York Giants at 17 when we come back. Now it's 17.
Joining us from Camp Humphreys in South Korea, please join me in welcoming members of the 2nd Infantry Division, ROK U.S. Combined Division. Among them is Warrant Officer James Benecke. He's a native of Brooklyn, New York, and he's about to make the Giants pick. Officer Benecke, take it away.
With the 17th pick of the 2019 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Dexter Lawrence, defensive tackle, Clemson. Second to none!
And with that pick, ladies and gentlemen, Dexter makes 3. Joining North Carolina State in 2006 as the only time we've had one school deliver 3 first-rounders from the defensive line. That year was Mario Williams, #1 overall, Manny Lawson, and John McCargo. This year, it is Clelin Ferrell, Oakland, and then Christian Wilkins out of Miami, and now Dexter Lawrence, who, by the way, was a 360-pound freshman recruit. He says he models his game after Ndamukong Suh. He modeled his recruiting eating after Christian Wilkins. Wilkins told him, look, when they take you out to dinner, eat like 3 steaks. He might have had 4, Boog.
You know, we've heard the term dancing bear.
Yeah.
This is a dancing grizzly bear. A man that's 340 pounds, that's this size, and has this movement. He ran 5 flat in the 40. What you're going to get with him is a guy that can take on blockers. He's a run stopper. He's throwing it back to the olden days. Not a pass rush. Yes, he can push the pocket, but the ability to lock it down from tackle to tackle is what you're getting from Dexter Lawrence.
I'll tell you what, look at him, Book, when he was healthy. That's the key. If he could stay healthy. As a freshman, he set that sack record with 7. Then he only had 3.5 the next 2 years combined because he was banged up. Then he had that great game in the ACC championship game against Pitt. Stay healthy. He was a sack guy, but he wasn't. He was contained. You don't draft a defensive tackle in the first round in 2019 unless you think he can get after the quarterback. I think what Dave Gettleman did said, hey, as a freshman when he was 100%, he showed he could do that, Lewis.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about this pick right here? This really, right now, this makes me think of Montez Sweat. This is where the New York Giants could use that profile.
The defensive end out of Mississippi State.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The defensive end from Mississippi State. Why? Think of James Bettcher's scheme. It's kind of a hybrid 3-4. They have one real pass rusher on the edge in Lorenzo Carter, who's not a dominant pass rusher. They need speed off the edge. They were 30th in sack rate last year. They were 30th in number of sacks last year, that being the New York Giants defense. Montez Sweat makes sense. But why is he falling? We know what the issues are. That's why the profile, look, I'm not arguing with the position, but the profile, it seems like Sweat would be the better fit.
And there you see the 3 again joining North Carolina State is in. Let's go to Commissioner Goodell.
With the 18th pick in the 2019 draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Garrett Bradbury, center, North Carolina State.
I can promise you there are a lot of teams picking in the 20s that are upset that Garrett Bradbury is now off the board. So Viking fans, skull yourselves, skull all the way. This kid is interesting. He graduated in 3.5 years with a 3.7 GPA in supply chain information systems. There is Garrett Bradbury. Oh, by the way, he also could have been a very, very good baseball player. In fact, he once told me, if you thought me I was going to play center, I would ask you, where am I playing college baseball? Because that's what I really wanted to do. Garrett Bradbury could have been a very, very good baseball player. Was a catcher as well as first base at Charlotte Christian High School in North Carolina. And he said one of the things he loves about playing center is the exact same thing he loved about being a catcher. I get my hands on the ball, Mel, on every play.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you think about an athlete, and that's what Bradbury is. He's a good technician. He's a smart football player, great character. Ryan Finley, the quarterback. You have him as your anchor. You know you can do some damage. You look at a guy like Bradbury, nice blocks on the move. I love his awareness. Overpowered, you would think, in the NFL is going to be the concern by those huge, massive defensive tackles, but it's not a major issue. I'm sure the Rams, as you guys said, and some teams late in the first round, a little disappointed he was gone, but he's the kind of guy for the Vikings. That offensive line was a mess, and Bradbury's got to be a key guy and anchor that group and improve that group moving forward.
As far as the center, he was the best reach blocker in this draft, the guy that can come out and reach the nose guard. And when you understand what Zimmer wants to do, Mike Zimmer, and you understand the philosophy they want to employ in Minnesota. They want to run the football. They want to get Dalvin Cook one cut and coming downhill. Well, if you want to do that, what must you have? You better have a center that can reach a nose guard and get to the second level. A big athlete that can move in space is what you have in this center.
Well, listen, one thing to be curious about and keep note, a lot of people talked about the ACC having a down year, and Clemson really had a coast to the national championship and the semifinals. 5 of the last 6 picks in this draft have been ACC players. Boston College and now North Carolina State along with Clemson.
Sure, look,
Not bothered anybody. Nobody ever left. Here's Commissioner Roger Goodell walking to the podium to find out where the home team Tennessee Titans will go with this pick.
To join me for the Titans pick are 13 high school football captains from teams across Nashville. These teams represent Metro Nashville public and private schools in Davidson County. They also exemplify commitment to team and community. Please welcome your local high school student athletes. With the 19th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle, Mississippi State.
Okay. We need to have a discussion about Jeffrey Simmons, and some of it will be uncomfortable. But I think we need to explain what is going on here. Jeffrey Simmons was one of the most highly recruited players coming out of high school, going to Mississippi State. And then he was involved in an incident which can only be described as, for lack of a better term, disturbing. In March of 2016, he was involved with a physical altercation in Macon, Mississippi, involving a 30-year-old woman, his mother, and his sister. He was found guilty of malicious mischief, pled no contest. 3 women involved in the altercation were also charged, and he was enrolled in Mississippi State and was suspended for 1 game. Now, there is video of this incident, and we're going to share it with you because it's important to explain why Jeffrey Simmons is being selected where he is. We should tell you it is a little disturbing, but this was an altercation involving his sister, another woman, and his mother on another level, and Jeffrey Simmons then entered that altercation. The initial video, which we are about to show you now, shows Jeffrey Simmons' sister in a fight with that other woman. And then Jeffrey Simmons entered. And initially, when he entered, what he did was he separated his sister from the woman that she was fighting with. And then, unfortunately, it did not stop there. Jeffrey said his emotions got the best of him. And as you see, after he separates his sister from the fight, he then lands several blows on the woman on the ground. And we need to explain in context what happened here. And Jeffrey Simmons says everybody's seen the video, everybody knows what happens. It's pretty much the same thing I've been doing since it happened. I've been honest about the situation, just laid it on the line to teams, to anyone who asks me. There's nothing to hide. It's a mistake I made back in high school. I regret it to this day. I grew from it. And it's important to explain that there had been a very, very long history of really awful stuff that had gone on between the woman in that fight, Jeffrey Simmons' sister, and his mother as well. No one is excusing the action, much in the same way no one excused the action from Joe Mixon, the running back in Oklahoma. But it is important to point out that the circumstances around that action are very, very different. And for more on that, we bring in Adam Schefter and Chris Mortensen.
Trey, in talking to teams around the league, the football people in the league pretty much felt like all the information they gathered from that incident and what they believe is not an incident, the assault, and the information they got from the coaching staff and other people at Mississippi State is that he was somebody who truly had redeemed himself at the highest level under these awful circumstances. And the other part of this is that owners, however, I would say about 11 that I counted, had Simmons taken off their boards no matter what the glowing reports were in terms of how contrite he was and what he did to correct those matters.
He was off many boards, but he also was on some boards because multiple teams had checked into his background and felt comfortable with what they learned about his character since that incident. There were teams that called him a top 5 talent in this draft. There was one team that told me that Jeffrey Simmons was the best player in this draft. Now, also keep in mind, Trey, that he's a torn ACL that he suffered during off-season training. He's a PUP candidate, is going to start the season on PUP and be reevaluated in October. He could contribute later this season, and there's a chance he won't play at all this year. Obviously, a polarizing figure that a lot of teams did a lot of research on, and the Tennessee Titans clearly were comfortable with what they saw, Trey.
All right, Mort, Adam, thanks very much. Let's just be clear about this. We're not telling anyone how to think. You see that video, you are certainly entitled to your opinions. This, of course, the trade that they made with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh jumped up to 10 to take Devin Bush. Here is Roger Goodell with the pick for the Denver Broncos.
With the 20th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Noah Fant, tight end, Iowa.
Well, we've had a lot of history in this draft. and it just happened again. This is the first time ever we've had two tight ends from the same school go in the first round. TJ Hawkinson went first, and now Noah Fant goes to the Denver Broncos. And Noah Fant was an exceptional all-around athlete. 2016 Nebraska High School State triple jump champion. There you see the medals. This is a guy who could do anything he wanted when he was in high school. Also won a high school state basketball championship, and he was a monster in the red zone this past season, or this past 2 seasons, by the way. And we'll get to that in a minute. But as we have noted before with TJ Hawkinson, there is a great tradition between the Iowa Children's Hospital and the Iowa football players, because that hospital overlooks Kinnick Stadium, and there is a special message now for Noah Fant.
Hi, this is Camden, a patient at University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital. We want to congratulate Noah Fant on being selected to the NFL Draft.
Congratulations, Noah.
That is 5-year-old Camden. He is doing the best he can, and he is happy because Noah Fant is a pretty good player.
He is. And where's Joe Flacco? Wherever Joe Flacco is, tight end should be drafted. Joe had Dennis Pitta. Baltimore Ravens drafted 2 tight ends early last year. Now Denver gets a tight end in Noah Fant for Joe Flacco. We thought maybe TJ Hawkinson, if he were there at 10, he was gone. Now you get his teammate Noah Fant. He played in the shadow of Hawkinson to a certain extent this year, but he did have 18 touchdown receptions over the last 2 seasons. He's a gifted athlete, over 6'4", 250 pounds, runs 4.5. He is a stretch the middle receiving option in the passing game, the deep middle area. I thought he could get the job done as a blocker at times, but he was inconsistent in that area. Concentration at times will cause a drop pass, which shouldn't happen. I want to see if Noah Fant becomes a guy who loves the game or plays it because he can. Now I think if he shows that and comes in with a little bit of chip, saying, hey, Hawkinson went top 10, I'm better, I think there's going to be some friendly competition there that maybe pushes Noah Fant to live up to all that potential.
By the way, I'm just fascinated that he can do the triple jump.
Listen,
how many of us could even try to triple jump?
I pulled a hamstring when you said triple jump.
I mean, seriously.
Just so people understand what a target he was in the red zone. The last 2 years, 21 targets, 15 receptions, 12 touchdowns. You want to talk about a guy that you can go post up when you get down to the end zone? Noah Fant is that dude. Nashville, you are that town tonight, baby. The draft continues.
This is the 2019 NFL Draft, presented by Courtyard.
Has a lot of flexibility. They already went with Rashawn Gary with their first pick. Where will they go here? Let's go to the commissioner.
The Seattle Seahawks have traded the 21st pick to the Green Bay Packers. And with the 21st pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Darnell Savage, defensive back, Maryland.
Okay. By the way, I love the reaction. I've never heard of that player, but I'm cheering for him. This is a guy, Darnell Savage, who, by the way, has been a riser since the end of the season. Has really been coming up the boards.
Heck of a football player. You talk about versatility, and we always say who fits today's NFL. Darnell Savage Jr. does. 7 interceptions, as I said, the last 2 years. Really good ball skills. 4th in total tackles. Talk about 2nd on the team in tackles for loss. Ohio State game, he's all over the field. Michigan game, he's got 6 tackles and an interception. He can cover in the slot. He's a guy who has great range. 4.36 ran. Great athletic ability, that 40 vertical. There's nothing this kid really can't do. And with Maryland, he was a big-time talent and a guy who tested well. As I said, he's got incredible versatility, and he will be a huge addition to that Green Bay Packers secondary.
Look, the Packers got nothing out of the safety position last year, and they needed to upgrade it. They tried to upgrade it with Adrian Amos. They're going to now see what they can do, get out of Darnell Savage. I'll just say this. This kid is a heat-seeking missile. When he's coming forward, when he's coming downhill, when he's entering into the run front, he's going to throw all 198 pounds at you. It's not always going to work. He misses some tackles because he's not small. He's small. He's not very big. And in the back end, when it comes to deep field route combinations, while he has tremendous speed and he has tremendous range, He has some issues back there as far as playing them correctly. But I can see why teams were hot on him because of the physical upside. But he still has some work to do, and the Packers need some big plays out of safety.
He says he compares his game to Bears Pro Bowl safety Eddie Jackson. Do you see some of that?
I don't see
it here, and happy new pick, because here's Roger Goodell.
The Baltimore Ravens have traded the 22nd pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. With the 22nd pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Andre Dillard, tackle, Washington State.
So much for that cornerback context. But here's what it is. This is also history. Andre Dillard becomes the first ever Washington State offensive lineman to come off the board in the first round. And Mel, this was a kid who arrived at Pullman at 240 pounds. He had put on a ton of weight, and he used to wake up at 2 a.m. every night to drink a protein shake just to put the pounds on and then go back to sleep. It has paid off now as he is a first-round pick.
Yeah, played basketball until the 8th grade. Then he started to play football, Trey. And you talk about a guy who added a lot of weight to his frame, redshirted as a freshman, played in 3 games early on. Then he becomes the starting left tackle. 39 starts over the last 3 seasons. His forte is pass protection. And you got Carson Wentz, who has had injury issues both in college and in the National Football League. You got to keep your franchise quarterback healthy. Andre Dillard has been a pro-style pass blocker. Obviously, he's got to become multi-dimensional and move defenders off the line. He doesn't have great arm length for a left tackle. That's Jonah Williams' arm from Alabama, longer than Andre Dillard's. But here's a guy, proven entity, good feet. Senior Bowl situation wasn't the best for Mobile and the game, but a guy who I think certainly because of the situation with Wentz, Lewis is a guy who's going to be put on the spot. The pressure's going to be on this kid to do as good a job in pass protection in the NFL as he did at Washington State.
What's interesting is, look, when you're looking at team building, right, the Eagles have a lot of guys whose contracts are coming up along the offensive line. One of them happens to be Jason Peters, who's 37 years old. Yeah. He can't play forever. Andre Dillard, you just wonder, are they going to move Lane Johnson? Are they going to keep Lane Johnson at right tackle? Are you just going to plug Andre Dillard in at left tackle? And I'll just tell you this about Dillard, too. As much as pass protection is his forte, there were some games where you sat and you watched him, like in the Senior Bowl in particular.
Yeah, he got bad game.
He got whipped. Yeah. I mean, he got whipped with power. He got whipped with speed. He has some technique deficiencies. Well, they're going to have to really coach him up. He's a tremendous athlete. When you look at his testing numbers.
Air raid offense. They don't do a lot of running.
Hey, but, you know, look. His testing numbers are spectacular. His upside is spectacular. They're just going to have to do some
Howie
work.
Roseman knew the Houston Texans had been mocked Andre Dillard all along. They need
another offensive lineman.
With the 23rd pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Titus Howard, tackle, Alabama State.
There we go.
Okay, it just got interesting. For those that don't know, Titus Howard was a 6'3", 235-pound quarterback when he was in high school. And he said, I remember my last game in high school because I had 16 carries for 315 yards rushing. I knew it was going to be my last game as a quarterback. I wanted to make the most of it. And now he has put on a ton of weight and is a 322-pound, 6'5" Mel, first-round offensive tackle.
Here's a kid you think about in terms of Teron Armstead. Kid came out of Arkansas, Pine Bluff, the New Orleans Saints, and I think they expect this kid to be that kind of player. Talk about the feet, the balance, and the athleticism. He has that. He's still a work in progress, but here's a kid kept getting better and better, obviously adjusting to the position change because he's an athlete. And that's what I think they're looking for, the upside that this kid has. We talked about the need area that they have as well to protect their quarterback, and that's going to be what he's going to be expected to make that transition to the smaller college level, as Armstead did incredibly effectively. He's one of the best in the business. So I think if this kid can have half the career that Armstead has, they'll be okay.
By the way, just so people know, he grew 2 inches and gained 87 pounds since his high school playing days.
Look, there's another offensive lineman who came out in the draft a couple years ago named Lane Johnson, who kind of had the same kind of career path. Quarterback, tight end, moved to offensive tackle. Now he's one of the baddest dudes in the NFL. So, look, this is a good pick for them. They needed it. He has some real good film. His Senior Bowl film, fantastic. He's one of those guys who you knew was, he talk about late risers. This is a guy whose name started circulating a lot over the past couple of weeks.
By the way, the first ever Alabama State player to go in the first round of the Common Draft era, and the most recent since Tavares Jackson, second first-round pick.
With the 24th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Josh Jacobs, running back, Alabama.
Hey, there it is. The Raiders take Josh Jacobs out of Alabama. Split time, of course, with Najee Harris and everybody else, and Damon Harris as well this year for the Crimson Tide. Josh Jacobs had trouble getting recruited, despite the fact that in high school he averaged 200 plus something yards a game and almost 15 yards a carry. Yet somehow he fell through the cracks, so someone told him to take a look at using an Instagram or Twitter account. So he made a Twitter account called I Am Josh Jacobs, and lo and behold, he put his video out there and everybody started flocking to his games.
Look, I'm going to tell you something about Josh Jacobs. This is a man when he runs the football now, and you better buckle up your chin strap and make sure you have a mouthpiece. And if you don't have a mouthpiece, then you don't value your teeth very much, because this guy is going to finish on you. He can run in a zone scheme. He can run in a power scheme. He's a guy who can run between the tackles. He doesn't have breakaway speed, but he has enough speed to produce plus 20-yard runs on the perimeter. He's a guy who wants to get it north and south, and trust me, he's not looking for the sideline when he finishes his runs. He's looking for you. What do I like about him the most, though? The willingness of him to block, both in the run game and in pass protection. He's fantastic.
I love him. He's got great change of direction, great vision, great instinct. He wasn't overutilized at Alabama, only about 250 carries, so you're getting on back that's relatively fresh. Don't tell me about his top end speed that he can't go 80 yards. How many backs in the National Football League can? He's a guy that you can give. He can play 3 downs, and like Lewis said, he's physically tough. And having played for John Gruden, he loves a physically tough running back.
11 of his 16 touchdowns came this year, and guys, 463 fewer carries than Devin Singletary, who's a Florida Atlantic running back, could be a 4th-round draft choice.
Yeah, right.
463 fewer carries. The kid's going to be drafted
amazing.
over the next couple days.
Yeah.
You think about that. A lot of tread left on those tires for one Josh Jacobs, who wasn't even expected. Damian Harris was expected to be a higher pick back in August than Josh Jacobs. And here he is, because he put it all together for that one season.
Well, they like it at the Legend Sports Bar in Las Vegas. By the way, Josh Jacobs has been through some stuff. He and his dad, they sometimes were living homeless. They had to live in the car. When he actually went to Alabama, he preferred to be on the floor, sleep on the floor instead of in the bed, because it just felt more comfortable to him with the way things have gone. Evans getting ready. Hey, buddy. Getting ready to pick the 25th overall selection. Hey, buddy. Let's go to Roger Goodell.
With the 25th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Marquise Brown, wide receiver, Oklahoma.
So Baltimore is going to Hollywood. By the way, Marquise Brown is a fascinating story. He's cousins with Antonio Brown. He's never going to weigh more than 170, 175 pounds, but the kid can flat out fly. He was born 2 weeks early, as I said, cousin of Antonio Brown. He has the Liz Frank injury that he's having to deal with here, right?
Exactly, and that makes it questionable, obviously, for OTAs, for training camp. When will he be ready to go? The Ravens have not had good luck drafting wide receivers. That's the one position Ozzie Newsome kind of struggled at. The organization as a whole has struggled at. Here's the kid. You talk about dynamic. I call him a diminutive dynamo, Lewis and Booger. With the ball in his hands, he's electric. You got to keep him healthy, though. He has had some injuries at Oklahoma in terms of being able to have to go to the sideline. But 166 pounds, will he ever be 175? We'll see. But if you can keep him on the field for Lamar Jackson, who's got to improve as a passer, this kid, I'll tell you what, what's underrated about him, he's tough.
If you look at how Baltimore's going to play, they're obviously going to run the football. Teams are going to bring 7 and 8 guys up, that extra guy in the box, to stop the run. What is that going to create? A lot of one-on-one opportunities on the outside. Lamar Jackson, can he hook up with Hollywood Brown?
Look, and here's the thing about Hollywood Brown. You need to get him the ball quickly. If you want to increase Lamar Jackson's completion percentage and the wide receivers and their yards after the catch per reception, get him the ball quickly. And that's one of the things you can do with him. You're seeing all these highlights of him just blowing past people down the field. But think about this. Think about the ways in which some of the more creative offenses use weapons like this. Put him in the backfield, throw him bubble screens, throw him rocket screens, throw him swing passes, get him the ball quickly, get some blockers out in front of him. It doesn't always have to be 9 routes down the field because this kid can do it all. Look, he, to me, is Deshaun Jackson Jr. That's what he's like, okay? And I'm telling you, I know there's some people who are worried about his Liz Frank. From what I've been told, look, if you're not going to draft him because he's not going to be ready for OTAs and minicamp, then you're going to miss out on something in training camp in the regular season because he's electric.
Here's a bigger question. Do we think he can help Lamar Jackson? That's the bigger question.
That's what I'm saying. If you're just going to send him on 9 routes and post corners and expect Lamar to be one of those guys.
We have a trade with the 26th pick overall. Washington has traded with Indianapolis. So amazingly, Washington just had their quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, fall into their lap at 15 without having to make a trade. They now make a trade at 26. Let's find out what they're doing with it.
The Indianapolis Colts have traded the 26th pick to the Washington Redskins. And with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Montez Sweat, linebacker, Mississippi State.
Okay, you heard earlier from Adam and Mort that a lot of people felt that Montez Sweat stock may be dropping. He drops to 26. He's a kid that went to Michigan State, had some issues there, transferred away after some suspensions there, was by all indications a really good player, and there were no issues for him at Mississippi State. And then Mel blew the field away at the combine with that 4.41 140, fastest time by a defensive lineman since 2006.
Talking about sack production and an incredible workout. You talk about 6'5 and a half, almost 6'6", 260
He's a
pounds.
freak.
To run 4.41 is rare, guys. You just don't see that very often over the last 30, 40 years. And the incredibly long arms. Did 21 reps, so he's got the upper body strength as well. 36 vertical. This is a gifted athlete.
Here's
Watch
the
him run
combine.
here.
Yeah.
That is flying for a 260-pounder, 4.41. Cornerbacks can't run that fast, so wide receivers can't. Montez Sweat has a sack production, 22 sacks over the last 2 years at Mississippi State. He got a little quiet after early October, where a lot of his sacks came. Mid-early October, over the next 6 games quiet. Then the final 2 games of the regular season, he was sacking quarterbacks again. Obviously having Jeffrey Simmons inside to collapse things. Sweat was the outside force, guys. The Redskins need a pass rusher. Ryan Kerrigan can't do it all. Preston Smith now a Green Bay Packer. Obviously, you think about the Redskins' need area. Pass rusher was number 1. They couldn't pass up Dwayne Haskins. Now they come back into the first round to get Montez Sweat, folks.
If you look at the board and you talk about value, best player available at the time you pick, I think the Redskins had to look at this board and be like, my goodness, we can get this guy at this pick, a long, explosive defensive end that can play the run or pass. We don't have many of those on the NFL level. Guys that are versatile, that can play both run and pass, he can do that.
He's tailor-made for their scheme.
Yeah.
Look, they lose Preston Smith. They get Montez Sweat for value, especially if their medical staff said, we're on the side of feeling as though we're okay with this. It's perfect for him. You're right, Ryan Kerrigan.
You need to stop looking at your Twitter feed from someone who looks at it a lot.
With the 27th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Jonathan Abram, defensive back, Mississippi State.
So back-to-back Mississippi State Bulldogs come off the board. Jonathan Abram. By the way, this is a guy that initially went to Georgia, and then Mark Richt left, and then he said he was kind of lost. He transferred to Jones County Junior College, and then went on to have 2 really, really good seasons at Mississippi State. And Lewis, this is a guy who does not shy away from contact.
Absolutely.
He had a couple of targeting issues he had to deal with, but he's like, I don't play dirty, I play fast, and I just get there in a hurry.
This is a guy who is a very good blitzer, a very good hitter. He's position versatile. He can play free. He can play strong. He plays some nickel. And he's a guy who has very good cover skills as far as being able to cover down on a number 3 wide receiver in the slot, or allowing you to, in your base defense, go ahead and cover a wide receiver so you don't have to go to nickel. He's very, and he plays the game. I'll tell you what, he doesn't play dirty, and he does play fast. He is a blur on the screen. He, again, fits the mold in terms of what Mike Mayock and John Gruden have said they want in a football player. Highly competitive, loves the game.
Physical player who, when he comes down, he can cover tight ends, he can cover slot receivers. A guy that's going to play and make plays around the line of scrimmage. With the game of football today being not as much vertical, more horizontal, 0 to 15 yards, you need playmakers, you need hitters near the line of scrimmage. This young man is a hitter and provides a lot of versatility for the Oakland Raiders.
Proven entities against big-time competition.
Yes.
And I think you look at what Abram did, you look at certainly what Josh Jacobs did, and Farrell at Clemson playing in so many huge games. Gruden and Mayock looking for those types of players in round 1.
By the way, just the 3rd time in the common draft era, Mississippi State has had a pair of first-rounders. Happened last in 1996, and before that, 1982. So they're the Raiders. Did they address their needs? Yes, they did. Jonathan Abram there with his daughter. By the way, already graduated, and he's on to getting his MBA. This kid is going places on and off the football field. But for the moment, he's going to Oakland. And, then to Las Vegas. Stay with us. The draft from Nash Vegas contention in the first round of the 2019 NFL Draft.
With the 28th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Jerry Tillery, defensive tackle, Notre Dame.
This, in many ways, is a fascinating pick. First and foremost, Jerry Tillery is celebrating his draft in Maui. So, by the way, A, that is one smart dude. B, kudos, you figured it out. But Jerry Tillery is a fascinating player. He has been about more than football his entire life. When he was 5 years old, he started to write left-handed just because he wanted to increase the odds of people that were able to do it. He's competed in triathlons. He did a hedge fund in Ireland during college. He graduated already. Yeah. How's it, Jerry Tillery? Nicely done on your part. He did have an incident in a game Notre Dame played against USC where he stomped on a couple of players. He's apologized for that, but this is a guy who has done a lot of life experiences, Mel. There's always one player. Does he love football? When you see his highlights, what do you think?
As a Notre Dame fan, you saw him flash that kind of ability. You see the game here against Stanford. He had sack after sack in this game. He was a one-man wrecking crew in that particular football game, but there were games where he was quiet. See him here, lock in the field goal. You can see that. You see evidence that he can be a great football player, but in too many games, in my opinion, he wasn't as dominant. He was too quiet. So if he can just turn it loose and be more consistent, guys, then you got something.
When you see Jerry Tillery, the first thing that comes to my mind is Richard Seymour. A lone guy that's powerful and has the quickness inside. Can play in a 4-3 or a 3-4, maybe best suited for that 4-eye in a 3-4 defense. I love the player. I like how long and strong he is. He gives you a lot of scheme.
And they are soft in the belly.
You just brought that point up, didn't you? In the playoff game, they need big bodies in there. You're talking about a guy who's 6'6", almost 300 pounds, who has tremendous testing numbers. When it's turned up for him, this kid can wreck shop. I mean, he can wreck something. That's why guys fall to this point in the draft.
Look, this is a brilliant pick because he's in Hawaii. He's in Maui. He gets it, man. I'm with you, Jerry Tillery. Live your life.
Just turn it up, baby.
Stay with us. We got to get the draft to Maui. That's what we're doing next. But we love you, Nashville.
This is the 2019 NFL Draft, presented by Courtyard.
With the 29th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select L.J. Collier, defensive end, TCU.
Well, you guys talked about it wanting to be a pass rusher, and it is L.J. Collier, who had 2 scholarship offers, one to TCU, one to Texas Tech. He chose TCU, and he has put on a show at times.
He has, and I think the potential moving forward into the NFL was there. He showed that all-star game as well, did it down there in Mobile. You look at a guy here, doesn't have the incredible elite 40 speed, but when you look at the production, you look at the technique getting off the edge, this is a kid multi-dimensional boat. That's where some teams will say, well, if you don't run under 4.65, 4.7, we don't launch a closing. And the NFL is an elite pass rusher. Some will say, hey, just go by the production and look at the consistency of L.J. Collier during his career.
Mel, the reason I love him, he's an athlete. And just in case he doesn't work out at defensive end, there are people in the National Football League who think you can reduce down and put him over the guard and play him as a 3 technique. So he provides a lot of versatility. He's a football player, Trey. That's the best thing you can say about this young man.
You find a way to put him on the field, he'll show out.
Yeah, I think ultimately he may have to
do, but no, ladies and gentlemen, that pick is in. Where is Bill Belichick going?
With the 32nd pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select N'Keal Harry, wide receiver, Arizona State. To our fans here in Nashville, over 200,000 people attended tonight. Thank you for your passion. We'll see you all tomorrow night.
That was the classic Patriot fan reaction. I have no idea who that is. Oh, it's a wide receiver? Okay, good. We got a wide receiver. Man, you are going for 7. And here is N'Keal Harry. Played his final year at Arizona State under our friend Herm Edwards. I talked to Herm extensively about this kid. He said he checked every single box. Does he play hard? Check. Does he show up for meetings and workouts? Check. Does he give you a competitor? Check. He does that. Big night here in Nashville. Well, it's been a stellar night here in Nashville with plenty of fireworks and interesting twists and turns. And it ends up with a guy who's had a lot of twists and turns in his own life in N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry was born in Toronto, Canada, but then his mom felt, wait, that's much colder than my home of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. However, then they decided, his grandmother decided he needed to have an opportunity, so they moved to Arizona, and then, of course, they grew up in Chandler, Arizona, while his mother stayed in St. Vincent and Grenadines. N'Keal Harry has only been back a couple of times to St. Vincent and Grenadines. There he is, seeing his family on one of those visits back there. It's been an absolutely remarkable journey. His grandmother was about to retire from working for the government for St. Vincent and Grenadines and wanted to travel the world. And they said, no, she had an instant bond with N'Keal, and they moved together to Arizona. And this is N'Keal as a high school basketball player, and he could throw it down. By the way, even his girlfriend, Kiana Ibis, is also athletic. She's an Arizona State forward, and she might end up playing in the WNBA. As for N'Keal Harry, everyone knew he could catch the ball. Everyone knew he could go get it. There were concerns about his speed. He ran a decent enough time, Mel, at the 40, because he is a competitor for the ball.
Yeah, 4.53. He's talking about a kid almost 230 pounds, incredibly strong in the upper body, and very athletic, almost a 38, 40-inch vertical. You think about a kid here who can go get the deep ball because he's that power forward. Very good body control. On the underneath routes, he's got great ability to make yards after the catch. Here he is again, power forward, contested reception. I want to see him block a little better, be more consistent there. Route running is a little sporadic at times, but here he is, after the catch, with the ball in his hands, the ability to make people miss, change direction, and then turn on the juice. He runs that 4.53, like I said, at nearly 230 pounds. Herm Edwards really liked this kid, and N'Keal Harry has an opportunity, obviously, with the greatest of all time. Yeah, we'll see what he can do there.
What you really like about him is that he's a three-position player. You saw him line up at X, Z. You saw him line up in the slot. You saw him take direct snaps in the Wildcat. Yep. He is big and strong and a guy who can get tremendous yardage after the catch. The jump 50-50 balls, those back shoulder fades on the outside, he won those over and over. He put those big mitts on the defensive back. He would push off. He would give subtle forearm shivers. He's one of those guys who really, he complements what they don't have in New England. Makes sense for them. Look, New England hasn't always had the greatest amount of success drafting and developing wide receivers, but I'll take my odds with this guy up there with Tom Brady for sure.
Look, here's the deal. This is the first wide receiver the Patriots have taken in the first round since Terry Glenn out of Ohio State in 1996.
Wow.
This has been the longest drought of any team when it comes to taking a wide receiver in the first round, and it's obviously the first time since Bill Belichick's era in New England, pretty good era, that he has decided to go with a wide receiver in the first round. So the last two ends of the first round for the New England Patriots. Last year they took the running back Sony Michel out of Georgia. Safe to say that went well for them. Sony Michel was the only player to score a touchdown in Super Bowl 53 in their 13-3 win over the Rams. And now they take N'Keal Harry, and they've never taken a wide receiver in the first round before. You have to say, in Bill Belichick, you trust here, right?
Absolutely. Look, you always give them the benefit of the doubt. And why do you do that? Because Bill is one of the best at developing players, and they have a quarterback in Tom Brady who's going to get you on the same page as him, or he's going to get you out of there. Or Bill's going to get you out of there. This is, again, how you build wide receiver cores. They have to match up with one another. N'Keal Harry makes sense for them.
So what did we say at the beginning of this, right? It was going to be the Raiders and the Giants, and the Raiders and the Giants absolutely controlled this draft. The Giants ended up with a third pick, as the fireworks display is really good.
That's called a grand finale.
That would be your grand finale right there. So the Raiders got their 3, and then you have the Giants with their 3. It has been a fantastic night. Thanks for watching the first round of the draft. Don't forget, we're coming back again Friday and then all day Saturday to go through all the picks. For Booger McFarland, Louis Riddick, and the Mel Kiper Jr. I'm Trey Wingo. Thanks for watching the first round of the draft. Stay tuned. Coming up next on ESPN, it's SportsCenter.